Today, I'm really excited to talk with Beckett Currie, a 6-foot point guard in the class of 2025. Beckett played at Camas High School, I probably just said that wrong, in Washington, where he set the all-time scoring record and averaged 27 points per game as a junior. He finished his high school career at the Phelps School in Pennsylvania and recently committed to Lafayette College. Congratulations. He's the first D1 basketball commit that, according to our research, from his high school since 1964. And you built a strong following on TikTok, which is where we connected, sharing his journey and training tips with over 15,000 followers. So congrats on all that. And I'm excited to talk to you today, Beckett.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right. So I think we're going to start this conversation just talking about high school and maybe like high school versus prep. And the way we do this is we get a lot of questions from community members. So one of our first was, what are the biggest differences you notice between your regular high school and prep school basketball?
Yeah, for me, honestly, I had such an incredible public high school experience. I think the community feel was the biggest thing that I missed when I went to a prep school. And they try really hard, at least Phelps did, to replicate that community feel. But it's almost impossible because you have guys that are only there for a year, they're there for a post grad year, whatever it is. So it's it's really difficult to replicate that kind of homegrown public school feel. And then the basketball aspect, I just think that, at my public school, I was such a self motivated individual that I was able to almost control so much of my environment that it's unrealistic to set that expectation for most people at their local public school. But I'm in my coach's office every single day. Like we're talking about game plans literally every single day. If we're going to go play a good team in the state, I'm sitting in his office when school gets out until practice starts, and then back in his office after practice to talk about what, sideline at inbounds play we're going to run at this time of the game. Like that was just the way it was. And I also had because you have this longer timeline, I had such a good relationship with my coach that it is much harder to replicate at a prep school. Like at a prep school, it's more similar to college where it's like you're in win now mode, you're replaceable. It's like, and even though I played well, I had fun at Phelps, it was not the same relationship wise. It's much more on you. You're not going to have, you know, you're going to have gym access, but it's on you to do what you want with the gym access. It's not like at Camas, I would have two of my best friends guarding me every day with pads and sticks, and my coach is passing me the ball, and we're live every single day. I'm on the gun after practice, like with my buddies talking trash to me in my ear like that. It was just such a good environment, and it felt it's like, all right, practice is out. I'm the last one in the gym. I got a ball and a hoop, like, and I got to get working. So I would just say it was very different. I enjoyed both, but yeah, public school to me was probably more enjoyable than the prep experience.
That's crazy. I think we had literally opposite experiences because my public school, like the frustrating thing for me was none of my teammates really cared about basketball. I was the only one that was obsessed. I never really had gym access or gym time, no gun, none of that. Like I had a good relationship with my coach, but nothing like you're talking about. And then I get to Blair Academy in Jersey and everybody's obsessed. I have great coaches. Like I'm
Yeah.
at 6 a.m. It's like literally the complete opposite. It's so funny. But okay, so can you tell us why you decided to go to Phelps and what that was like moving across the country for prep school?
I mean, honestly, so in my prep school recruiting, I went on visits to Oak Hill. I was talking to Sunrise Christian, and for me that was always crazy because like I'm I try to put things into perspective a lot of times. Like I'm a 6 foot dude from Southwest Washington. Like I don't have any freakish athletic ability. So to be at Oak Hill walking through a dorm that Brandon Jennings stayed in, you're like, what is going on? You know what I mean? It's a pretty surreal experience. And same thing with Sunrise. And honestly, it was hard to say no to both those schools. But the reality of me is I play basketball to play basketball, not to watch basketball. You know what I mean? So wherever I go, I want to play. And Phelps gave me an opportunity to start and have the ball in my hands and take a lot of shots and be able to play my game the way I wanted to play my game while being surrounded by really high level guys. And so that was honestly the main decision. I don't really look at for me, I'm a basketball guy, so I've never really looked at location and like I care. I just need a hoop and a gym and some teammates, and that's pretty much it. And it's about fit. And the basketball fit at Phelps was good. And then the only reason I left my public school, because I would have stayed there 4 years, is because when COVID hit my eighth grade year, I had a list of all these records I wanted to break on my wall and all the high school records I wanted to break. And COVID hits, and I get a call from my head coach, and he's like, "It's going to be a 12-game season, masks, no real basketball, and we're only playing league opponents." And so I said, "All right, I'm not coming. I'm waiting. We're going to wait a year. I'll come after COVID is over. I'm not ruining a year of eligibility doing that. I just don't want to." So we wait, stay in eighth grade, take high school classes so that I can like graduate early or whatever. And then I just go to high school the next year. But then the state ruled that kids that did that during COVID lost their senior year of eligibility, which
Yeah.
whatever. But then so I was like, all right, I got to leave. So I went out to Phelps, and it's close to Lafayette. So that helped.
So you ended up doing 3 years at your public school and then the 1 year at Phelps.
Yeah.
With the week class. Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting timeline. And then I just found out like before this that you didn't really play AAU, or you didn't have much of an AAU experience. So that's very interesting. I think, the way we look at AAU with recruiting is changing. But of course, I went through the whole AAU process. I played in my senior year because I knew I was doing a prep year of high school. So I played senior year AAU. So talk us through that. Like what was your decision making on not really going the AAU route?
Well, I've always really disliked West Coast AAU is not East Coast AAU. It's not the same. Like it's so different in the worst way imaginable. On the West Coast, you get team directors that had success with a middle school team and have never coached any real basketball, and they become the head coach because they know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and they had success with a middle school team. And so now you get a high school team who has a lot of talent, and it is the worst basketball like being played imaginable. I'm like a savant, like basketball perfectionist. So being out there, I got told one time, my freshman year AAU, after the game, that we shot too many threes, and it was okay. Shot too many threes. Got to get the ball inside. And then he goes, "You can't win a game if you miss more shots than you make." And I said, "Huh?" And he was like, You can't win a game if you miss more shots than you make." And I was like, if a team consistently is making more shots than they miss every single game, they are more than an elite offense. You know what I mean? If you're shooting above 50% every single night, that's a pretty special team. So it was just, I was always really frustrated, and I felt like training was everything. Like I made the decision that my training is as close to the game as it can possibly be. Like I have live defenders in most of my workouts, and I'm constantly like, I'll go into a workout, I'll have a hedge defender, I'll have a ball screen defender, and we'll go through every single option on that. So it's like, rather than me going on a weekend and playing 4 games, and let's say I touch the ball in the 4 games, let's say I get 100 possessions, then I can go get 150 possessions in a day in the gym. And so like that was 150 live possessions of a specific action in a day. So that was kind of the mindset that went into that. Was I just prioritized training. I hated the travel days because I felt like I was missing training, I was missing lifting, I wasn't eating right. And so that was huge. I just felt like freshman year kicked off my recruiting and got me started. And I built enough of a connection off of that 1 year that I was like, I trust that I can get good enough to get recruited just playing high school basketball, and I'll do what I need to do. But yeah, AAU to me was always just not a very fun, not a very fun experience.
I mean, I had a lot of the similar things. I always say, like, my last few years, I was on a really high level AAU team, but Like I would show up to practice on time and everybody else would show up 30 minutes late.
Yeah,
I'd
I
get
know.
I'd get home at like 11 or midnight on a school night because I was driving an hour. All the same things. Like I remember when my last AAU tournament finished, it was such a relief. Even though I had no idea what I was doing with recruiting and stuff because I was a late commit. Like I was just it was such a relief. It was so nice to know I just didn't have to go through that anymore. But
Absolutely.
I will say, like back then, at least for me, because of I had no exposure basically from my public school. I pretty much had to play AAU to get recruited. Like if I hadn't gotten on that Under Armour team, Colgate wouldn't have found out about me. Like the other schools that started getting in touch with me. So that's interesting that it didn't really seem to hold you back, or you feel like it didn't hold you back at all.
Well, the thing I'll touch on is AAU is much different than the circuit. So like I played EYBL freshman year. Like I was a consensus top 3 player in the state. So it was, and I was on an EYBL team where I was getting the ball a lot. So that freshman year honestly really did a lot. Like it, I would say for most kids, that route probably, if you can play circuit AAU, you'll probably get recruited. But a lot of kids go play for independent teams, and it's like no coaches are coming to those games. Like nobody's coming to those games, and it's a harsh reality that it's like, okay, if you want to prioritize just playing and getting live reps, that's cool. But I tell young kids all the time, like, you're not going to play for some independent AAU team from the middle of Central Washington, and you're traveling randomly, not even on live sessions, and expect Duke to show up to your game and offer you. Like, it's just never going to happen. So if you can play on a circuit team, it probably makes sense. If you can play, like you actually get time on a circuit team, probably makes sense. Probably a good decision. The reason I ended up not playing AAU for sophomore and junior year is because Seattle Rotary, my AAU team, and Rose City, who was the EYBL team in Portland, combined and put together a coaching staff that I didn't really agree with. Most guys didn't agree with. Everybody went their separate ways. Most kids went to Jalen Green Elite or went, somewhere else. I didn't feel like playing for some team in California that I had to fly down once or twice a month to practice with. I was like, this is just ridiculous. Like, there's no, honestly, for me, it was a lack of options. Like those were our 2 good circuit teams. Those are the only way you're getting Division I coaches in the gym to look at you. And they combined and everybody left. And it was like, there's nothing else really, and that we don't really have any other circuit teams out there, like legit circuit teams. So I'm not going to go play for an independent team and just play 4 games, ruin my body, for no reason. So there's a lack of options. I'd say for most kids, if you have the option to play circuit ball, you should play. If you're an independent guy still, I would probably train, see what you need to do to get to that circuit level, and then once you're able to play at that level, go play.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice, and especially nowadays, starting out because I started playing AAU in 5th grade, which is still crazy to me.
Yeah.
Back then, like if I could do it over, it would have just been a focus on training, getting really good, and then eventually, hopefully, playing for one of those high level teams. But it sounded like for you, you said your recruitment already had started your freshman year. I'm guessing from the EYBL
Yep.
experience. So can you tell us a little bit about what recruiting looks like as a freshman, and as you went through your high school career, what your recruitment started to look like?
Yeah, for me, recruiting, I would say I was never a particularly patient kid. So, I was a freshman that I got to start on varsity we were the number 1 team in the state for most of the year. And I was like, felt like I was probably better than I was in hindsight. And so when I first started getting recruited, it was all the local mid majors. So, Portland State, Idaho State, Seattle U, Eastern Washington, like all the D1 schools in my immediate area. Pepperdine was like the first school to reach out. And when I first started getting recruited, it was kind of surreal because, like I said, I preface it by saying, like, I have dedicated my life to basketball since I was 7 years old. So, like, to say I have given everything to the game is an understatement. Like, that doesn't even do it justice. I can't put words into the amount of dedication that's gone into basketball. Like, I've sacrificed everything. for basketball. So it's not like I just woke up and Division I scholarships came in. Like that is not how this game works, even a little bit. So that freshman year, they started reaching out through my high school coach, and I built up a lot of those relationships. And from then on, honestly, it was a lot about like turning interest to offers. Like that was the goal. Like what do you need to see from me? And the number one thing I could vouch for to kids getting recruited, if you get interest, don't like you have to be the one to continue conversations. You have to be the one to vouch for yourself. Nobody, it doesn't just happen. You know what I mean? Like there's this attitude around recruiting that if they just play well, schools will offer them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, if you're not a top 200 kid in the country, it does not work that way. Even when I had interest, I was having to send my film out after every single game, sending my stats to every single school that had reached out that I had their information. If I had a number for a coach, they were getting a text after every game. Like that was just the mindset because I wasn't going to miss up on the opportunity that could be the opportunity. You know what I mean? So it was like once I had the interest, which I was blessed with that I got after that freshman year, it became like I would ask coaches, what do you need to see from me? What do I not do that you need to see me do at this level? And sometimes that's a hard conversation. It's a hard truth that you have to hear. And I always appreciated the coaches that were honest with me versus the coaches that were like, oh, we're just waiting. You're never waiting because if I was 7 foot and shot 50% from three, you'd probably have offered me already. You know what I mean? So that's not the case. I would say constant communication, like constant communication. Communicate more than you think you need to was probably the biggest thing for me. Vouching for yourself and being your biggest advocate in terms of understanding your game well enough to talk about. And then the last aspect goes into that. My biggest advantage in recruiting was my basketball IQ. I would watch games for every team that recruited me, and I would be able to call their coach and say, that zoom action you guys run on the weak side after the first side ball screen is incredible. And I feel like if I came off that, I can get this shot and this shot and this shot. And they were blown away. Nobody like you can have a conversation with the coach for 10 minutes. And when I start talking about how they throw in a zone and late shot clocks or like end game situations to throw a team's rhythm off when they've seen man the whole game, or they change the ball screen coverage, right in that last 8-minute stretch, and you're like, oh, like this kid's is just different. Like he just thinks about it different. So because you think these guys, what they get a call and they go, hey, how's it going? And they go, oh, it's going well, coach. How's it going for you? And they're like, oh, good. Da da da. How's the family? And it's like then you talk for 5 minutes and the call's over and every recruit sounds the exact same.
Yeah.
And it's like what can you do to separate yourself? And for me, it was talking basketball. Like I love basketball, so it was like whether it was talking about the NBA game that happened the day before or their game that they just played, it was like we are gonna really coach because they like talking about basketball. So I was gonna hit that hard and not just understand basketball, understand how I fit into their system and be able to communicate and advocate for myself by saying that.
Yeah.
And for me, it was the shooting thing. Like you said, it's like I can set a back screen and you have to help because I'm a good screener. I'm strong. So if I set a good hard back screen in a flex action and I come back to the ball, I know I can get us a good shot one of two ways. And I was able to say that, and that type of stuff, honestly, is what got me my first couple scholarship offers.
I think that's such great advice. Also because in my college experience, there are some guys who really get it with in a basketball IQ sense, and some guys who, maybe they have the talent, the athleticism, whatever, and then it doesn't quite click. So if you can already start to prove that to a coach in the recruiting, because I feel like every coach is worried about that. Oh no, this kid looks really good, but he's going to get here and not know what's going on. He's not going to know how to fit into our system, whatever. So if you can already start to prove that in the recruiting process, I think that's pretty genius and really good advice. You said that got you some of your first scholarship offers. So what was that timeline like in terms of actually getting offers? And then maybe you can talk a little bit about how you got your Lafayette offer.
Yeah, so my first Idaho State was like my first official offer. That was sophomore year, like early sophomore year. And honestly, as much as I'd like to say like it was like a big relief, the reality was it was like, well, now I got to keep it. I'm not there yet. Like that's just the way I kind of
Especially as a
think.
sophomore, especially if you get an offer as a sophomore, it doesn't really.
Yeah, it was like, I'm not committing. So now, and one of the things that was really tough is when Idaho State offered, and I love their staff, there was a lot of pressure for a long time to early commit. And because they were my only offer for a little stretch my sophomore year, and honestly, as a kid that you always dream of going Division 1, and you're like, is this the only school that's going to offer me? You
Yeah.
know, you don't know. Are they going to pull if I don't commit? Am I going to lose it? It was super stressful. I would say it was like October-ish of my sophomore year, so like right at the start. And it was super stressful. I just remember talking to my coach after practice and being like, I don't want to commit. I mean? I got an offer as a sophomore, but so I think more will come in. And neither of my parents played high level basketball, so he was instrumental in being like, just relax.
Yeah.
It's all right. Give it some time. And then I picked up University of Portland offered. Ironically, I was on an official visit at Eastern Washington when David Riley was still there. And on my official visit at Eastern, University of Portland called and offered me there. And that was probably middle-ish sophomore year. And then from there, I think probably the most frustrating thing was I got a lot of schools that would say, oh, you have an offer if you come. And that was seriously like, the amount of times I heard, are you ready to commit?
Yeah.
Before I got a scholarship offer from a school where it was like, I just call it offer and commit. It was like, I think a lot of schools didn't want to boost my recruitment.
Yeah.
And so they hid interest to try to, because they felt like they were better than the offers I had. And so they would just wait. But that segues into like the way I got to Lafayette, honestly, they didn't play any of those games. They showed me how much they wanted me instantly. There was no doubt in my mind that the staff saw how to plan for me there. And they came in junior year, started recruiting me junior year. Actually, one of their coaches who had coached D3 ball had recruited one of my teammates to play somewhere. And he said, it was so funny. He called me the day he got the assistant job at Lafayette, literally the day. And he said, I saw you play in high school when I was recruiting your buddy to play D3. And he told himself, he said, if I ever got the chance to coach at a D1, I'd give you a call because I thought you were really special. And he called me. And from then on, it was just like such a great relationship. And they, over everything else, I went there because they showed me they had a plan for me. You know what I mean? Like these other schools may have said, oh, we want you, or given offers, but I'm a kid that asks a million questions, and it gets, I can't even imagine what I'd be like to coach. It would be so annoying. You know what I mean? But I am so like basketball junkie, and they never like push that to the side. Like they entertained every stupid conversation about random actions that I saw from the sixth league in Italy. Like they would just be like, "Oh yeah, let's talk about." Like we'd have phone calls where we talked for an hour and a half rather than most phone calls with college coaches where it's like, "Oh, okay, I gotta go. We got
Yeah.
whatever." So that was the biggest thing that got me out there was I felt like they had a plan for me, and it made it honestly a pretty easy decision. It's difficult to go across the country. Like I'd be lying if I said I wanted to do that. Like there's not a part of me that wants to do that. But I understand they're a great staff. It's a good support system. So yeah, that was I mean, once they came in, they treated me so much different than all these other schools
Yeah.
that even though it made it an easy decision. Like it really did. It wasn't like you have conversations and they're like, when a school is going out of their way to that extent, like when I was at Phelps, they would send twice a week, they would send 4 coaches to open gyms. It's an hour plus drive twice a week. They would drive out there, the whole staff after practice, and come watch me play an open gym. say, how you doing? What's up? How did the transition? You need anything? You good? Did it? And I don't know, man. They were just an incredible staff. So as soon as I got that offer from them, it progressed pretty quick. So junior year, I get that offer, and it's like we're talking. Official visit, go out there, and then from there, pretty much a couple weeks later, commit was like, "Yep, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing." So they made it a pretty easy, stress-free process, which is nice because everything up to that point was so stressful and not not great.
I think it's a great reminder to go where you're really truly wanted, not necessarily like the highest level possible. Because in my recruiting, Colgate was the first school that wanted me, and they were constant and telling me, what my role would be, how they see me fit in the program, blah, blah, blah. And then I had other schools that were also like you, like kind of on the fence or, not quite sure. If you go prep, then maybe we'll offer you, blah, blah, blah. And so I just decided that's why I ended up committing before I got to Blair, where, if I look back, I think if I had waited until the fall of my prep year, I might have picked up a few more offers. But eventually I was just like, all right, Colgate really wants me. It's a great school. I love the staff. I went on my official visit, really liked it, really liked the guys. Like, what am I waiting for? At some point, you just got to make a decision. And
Yeah.
it feels right too. It sounds like for you, it just really felt right. It felt like the right move.
Yeah, and I was honestly a huge part of it was like, like you said, it felt right. I was so ready to be done with the recruiting
Yeah.
process. I was so ready to just know where my feet were because, like I said, with the preparation thing, it's like once I know where I'm going, then it's how do I prepare? So the sooner, for me, it was like the sooner I know who my staff is, what they run, what actions they're going to put me in, where I'm going to get my touches, how much I'm going to play,
Yeah.
what I'm going to be asked to do on defense.
Which, to be clear, like for kids, like you can never get a guarantee, but
No,
a coach will have at least like a visual in their mind of how they see you, and that's like what you want to hear because it's hard to hear like you're going to play 30 minutes a game as a
yeah,
freshman. Come on, like
if
that's unrealistic. But
if a coach tells you honestly, like that was if a coach tells you something exact, they're probably lying.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
go work your butt off and see if you can make it happen. And it was like you said, not specific. They didn't tell me I'm playing 31 minutes a game and I'm getting 10 threes a game. It was just like, here you go.
All right, so we got a bunch of questions about like how you developed and your training and all that. So I kind of want to like try to go rapid fire through a few of these from our younger players in the community.
Cool.
All right, so we got one from Jack. As a smaller guard, what specific ways do you find it easier to score against bigger defenders?
You got to make contact with their body. Everything for me is weight room, getting strong enough. You watch a guy like Peyton Pritchard, like I'm gonna go into your legs. I'm gonna take your ability to jump. So playing really low to the ground, being able to handle the ball in tight space, under pressure, and then going into their body first. If you initiate contact 9 times out of 10, you're gonna get the advantage to use the rim as something they can't get through and go opposite side. So that's been my biggest focus this offseason is just make contact first, initiate contact first. Always don't let them hit you. Don't try to go around them.
Yeah, I think it's great. And we all know like every level of the game gets more and more physical. College is more physical than high school. Pro is way more physical than college. That's a huge adjustment once you get to the pro level. All right. So what part of your game do you think stood out most to college coaches? Scoring, hustle, leadership, or something else?
Shooting. And I would say that one of the biggest things if you're a kid that's trying to get recruited is you got to have something that you do well. Like you got to have one thing that a coach says, for me in high school, I was handling the ball all the time, doing all this stuff. But at the end of the day, when I got recruited, they said, no matter what, this guy can shoot the ball. Even if his ball screen offense falls through, even if whatever falls through, we know that he can catch and shoot a basketball.
Yeah.
So it was like having that to hang my hat on was huge. That was always, I made in like 3 years, I made 290 something threes. So it was like that was my junior year. I averaged 6 threes a game and got box of one every night. So it was like the ability to shoot the three was the number one thing over everything else.
Actually, so we had a question. How do you create open shots for yourself when you're being face guarded or pressured? So that goes right into that.
For me, so like I got
If you're making six a game, that means you're getting up at least what, 12 a game?
yeah, 11, 12,
Yeah,
13,
there you go.
sometimes more than that. But
Of course.
I hunt transition, hunt in transition, hunt in transition. Get your butt up the court. If you can sprint up the floor and your guy loses you in transition. The only way, if you're getting face guarded, like really face guarded, you lose your guy is transition. Half court offense, you're not getting lost. There's not enough space. So in transition, I'd hide literally. I would stay behind my big on a rebound and take off just so they couldn't see me. Because once they lose eyesight, I need this much space to get it off. So it's like transition was huge, and then become a screener. Like that was the other biggest thing that I had to adjust in high school. Like I got 20 box and ones in 29 games. So every night is a box. So like using me as the ball screener because they're not going to help off of me. Yeah. They're never going to help off of me. Back screening the low guy in the box to a big that can just face cut and get an early pass in the middle because again they're not going to help off of me. And then having some pretty elite shot creation off the dribble. Like my coach gave me some leeway to take some tough. So sometimes I might have got ahead of myself with that, but especially when you're getting box and one and there's some frustration. But then also knowing how to use a ball screen. Like when I would get box and one, we would set it so high. We'd set the screen so high that if that box defender comes up, it's really one-on-one. Yeah. And my goal is to just race you downhill and pop up quick because I'm selling my drive. So it was like anything we could do to create a one-on-one instead of a two-on-one with the defense having the advantage. So transition, setting screens, and then being able to create your shot off the dribble was 3 for me.
Okay, and last one with this, what habits or routines help you the most in your development?
I mean, I've been on the same 2 basketball workouts, 1 lift, pretty much a day, 6 days a week, every day for a really long time. But I think habits-wise, like, I would say just the most important thing above anything else is consistency. Like, people don't understand the power of showing up. Like, if you just show up every single day, there's going to be good days, there's going to be days that absolutely suck. But if you just show up every single day, and for me, the biggest part of that is I take how I feel out of the equation. Like, if I signed up to do something, I'm doing it. Like, there's no, I feel this way or da 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 da. It's like, if I signed up to do something, I'll be there. I'll be there early, and I'm gonna do it well. That's actually probably the best habit. Show up early. Yeah. Show up early because, like, for me, if I get to a workout 30 minutes early, I always text my trainers, "Hey, how early are you gonna be there? When will the gym be open?" Because if I get there 30, 40 minutes before the workout starts and I warm up and I'm done with 20 minutes left on the clock, and now I just have the ball in my hands, I'm just getting a flow. I'm getting warm, like really warm before the workout actually starts. So I'm able to, rather than for the first 10 minutes of the workout trying to get my body to go, yeah. I'm good. Like when we start the workout, I'm 100 miles an hour. I'm ready to go. I try to show up to early to everything that I can if I'm able to. So that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. It's funny, in Europe, stuff does not start on time, which really bothers me because I'm the same way. Like I like starting stuff early or everybody getting there on time. And here, everything's always 10, 15 minutes late. And it just, okay, if you could, or no, wait, sorry. Oh yeah, I want to ask this one. How do you balance academics and athletics, especially with demands of prep school and recruiting? And obviously going to a high academic school like Lafayette, you had to do at least decently in the classroom.
Yeah, I would say for me, honestly, like everything has been like, I mean, it's just being honest. I switched to online school in 8th grade.
Oh, really?
I never went to actual school. So I switched to online school in 8th grade. Then my freshman year, I went to school for 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks in-person school. And then I went to my counselor and I said, I'm going back online. I'm done with that. Like I can't be in the classroom for 6 hours a day. So my academic experience was, I mean, basically, it's like online school is online school. You know what I mean? You get out of it what you put into it. But I think that the most important thing in terms of like balancing that stuff, like when I went to Phelps, I was doing real school again. That's something I'm still working on, to be completely honest with you. Like I'm not good at balance in any aspect of my life. Basketball eats up about 99.9% of every second of every day. And usually I'm so tired by the end of the day when I'm done working out that I don't do much else. So it's like, I think the number one thing though is, like you said, Lafayette is a high academic school. And so talking to the coaches, getting all these support plans in place, talking to my academic advisors early, talking about what classes I'm going to take, what the workload is in each class, and really, rather than showing up and being surprised, trying to build myself up and put the proper supports in place so that when I get out there, even if it's difficult or even if it's challenging, we're able to put something in place that works. And they've been huge with that. So yeah, but I never really went to school. I pretty much.
That's crazy. That's crazy. We're living in a different time, man. Like that's
No, I know. Yeah.
but I think, well, any high school to college academically is going to be an adjustment, but luckily at these high academic schools, especially I'm sure Lafayette, just like at Colgate, they have people in place to help you to, keep you on track, check up on you, make sure you're doing study hall and all that, and not just living in the gym. So that'll be an adjustment for you, but it'll be, I think you'll do fine. All right, last thing, we had a couple questions about your social media, so your TikTok.
Yeah.
So do you plan to leverage your social media presence at all in college, or, just what does that look like going forward, I guess, when you get to college?
I think I want to try to. Honestly, it's something that I I'm impressed by people like you that are as consistent as you are, because it's something that, to me, sometimes I struggle to find like the motivation to like put out content consistently, and sometimes you feel like, I don't know, just really low motivation surrounding it. And even though you understand that it's like a resource and a cool tool, sometimes it's just, it gets monotonous, and sometimes you're like, well, I kind of want to switch up my content, but I don't know what to do different. And I think one of the things that I struggle with the most is like, mine's workout content, but it's not like I have somebody to film all my workouts. So most of the time, there's a gym that I go to that has a tripod with the shooting machine. So most of my workouts are just on the shooting machine because I can set the tripod up. So it'll be interesting to see when I get out to college what I'll probably do some cool things with the content in terms of just like what stuff looks like as a Division I athlete, what I'm doing in terms of preparation and everything, because I feel like people find that interesting. And if the opportunity to, monetize it comes up, that would be awesome and obviously super cool. Right now, I'm just trying to find more motivation to like
Stay consistent.
really stay consistent with it. Yeah.
Man, I feel that. I mean, well, first of all, if I could go back in college, I definitely would have been creating like, I think creating content in college is way easier than now as a pro, because people are more disconnected, where it's like in college everybody kind of understands that life, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the other thing with consistency, I'm not very consistent. Like maybe it seems like it, but the last month or so I've been super inconsistent. I've stopped posting YouTube videos, and I think what happens with me, what I struggle with, is when I'm not playing well, I feel like fraudulent with posting a bunch of content and shit and like telling kids what to do. And I'm like, well, I'm in my career, and not that anybody knows, but I just feel like, okay, I need to get back locked in. I need to, stop worrying about social media. So that's like the balance that I sometimes struggle with, especially with these really long seasons over here. But I think making content has been so huge for me. And sometimes being able to do something outside of basketball with my free time, like as a pro, with, if and
Yeah. Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I get to this life, there's so much free time that you don't even realize. So it's cool to have something else, maybe that 0.1% outside of basketball where you can do something else fun.
Do something else. Yeah. I think it also gives you that support system. Like for me, it's just been cool to see the amount of people that kind of get behind you with it. And,
Sure.
you just notice that, I don't know, it's been cool some days to be frustrated, and then you read comments and stuff from people that are like, just, you don't sometimes realize the impact you can have on certain people, and how much, like, I know, it's even your content, like back home, people talk about it all the time. Like, there's this kid that I work out with, J-Mo, and he's like, oh man, you're doing it, you're getting to talk to him, that's so cool. Like, I watch his, and he's trying to a lot of the mental stuff. Like, he really listens to everything you have to say. And so, yeah, that to me has been one of the craziest things, is just the way you really do, like people really do are inspired by it. It's something that they'll let you know. And I think even on the days that kind of suck and are difficult, having that is is really cool. It's just cool to see that support system that you may never meet these people, but they're behind you, you know?
It definitely is. I met one guy on like the tram in Brussels, and that kind of blew my mind. The kid was like, "Is this you?" And I was like, "What is going on?" Because whatever. I mean, I'm still very small in the grand scheme of things, but it is, yeah, it is cool to see the impact. And I'm sure you're doing the same thing. You get those comments like I see sometimes on your videos, like, "We need more workouts, post more workouts." Like people, yeah,
Yeah,
people
yeah.
people love that stuff, and I'm sure a lot of kids watch what you do and then go in the gym and do the same thing because people struggle to come up with workouts all the time. So. Yeah, it's cool what you're doing. Just keep it up. And yeah, I'm glad we had this conversation. Excited to see your college career. I'll be rooting for you in most games. Obviously, there'll be a couple each year
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it'll be tough for me, but excited to see what you do there at Lafayette. And yeah, thanks for taking the time, Beckett.
Of course, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.